Hi, welcome to the Libra channel. In today's episode, I would like to say a few words about the vertical method. So if someone is starting their adventure with this technique, this episode is definitely for them. In today's episode, we will show our new products, which are Go Bio, 73 inches, 186mm, Blix Look Tail, 8.2 inches, 210mm, Road People Tail, 8.2 inches, 210mm, and the push like 6.7 inches, 167mm. The vertical method, as the name suggests, is a method for vertical fishing, which means only and exclusively with the use of boat or another floating unit such as pontoon boat or kayak. Also with the help of what was then called Live. Of course, you can use regular fish finders where we don't have live type transducers and still effectively fish using this method. Let me tell you a few words about the equipment we use for the vertical method. Personally, I use rods from 125 to 180 liters with a casting weight of at least 35 g. Maximum, we have this maximum. We use 30-pound ones. They are described differently. They have various weights. It translates differently, so it's hard to talk about an exact casting weight. The heads are used for delicate vertical fishing, meaning even 28-gram heads, which are quite light, but I use thin lines with them. So from 28 grams to 150, even 200 grams when I fish in a very fast drift, or when I approach fish and search for them at high speed, moving with the bow motor. It's even 2.53 per hour. It's just action-reaction, meaning we drop such a lure with a heavy head, so to speak. Of course, on the head of a zander or a pike, and it has a fraction of a second just to react. So this method often works as well. I use stronger 30-pound rods for this. And here, I would like to tell you a few more words about this bait casting reel. I personally use a bait casting reel, Shimano Calcutta Conquest and Shimano Antares. You might think these reels are too weak, but in my opinion, they are completely sufficient, because with the vertical method, bait casting reels really serve as a line storage, so we don't need to invest. In very expensive equipment, we can buy the best possible bait casting reel. Of course, you can also fish vertically with a spinning rod. Many of my friends fish this way and they do so effectively, so these are very personal choices. Returning to the rods. The rod, the most important thing is to match the rod with a good distance, the transducer, so that we can see the lure. They didn't search for it very precisely with the transducer, therefore, as I mentioned earlier, when I sit very close to the transducer, I use rods of 125, so that's a pacemaker. You might think it's abstract, but I strongly believe I fish very effectively this way. And when I'm visiting friends on their own personal boat, I mainly fish with a rod that is approximately 180 centimeters in length and has a casting weight of up to approximately 50 grams. This is a kind of universal set. I know that I can simply manage with it. I will show you a more fine one. Here I have a rod with a capacity of up to 1.25 ounces, which is up to 35 grams, with a Shimano Antares reel in size 201. With a very thin line, where I use this rod because of its power, meaning it has less power than the previous one, for structure fishing and lure fishing, meaning I pay attention to details in the lure, such as small legs, elements that work with the slightest movement of the tip, right? Here we have a slightly more delicate tip, so we can play this lure much more effectively and efficiently. Additionally, as you can clearly see, we have a tungsten head weighing 28 grams, and we are using fluorocarbon with a thickness of 0.40, repeated for emphasis. This setup allows for optimal performance and precision in various fishing conditions, ensuring that the lure behaves as intended. A braided hook with a diameter of 0.50 attached using such a method, which I will show you in a moment, to the back of our frog. Now I will show you some accessories. When it comes to the diameters of the lines I use, they are of course braided lines. I use diameters from 0.010, sometimes even 0.08. If I'm fishing really delicately, where the fish don't react at all, I slim down the setup and focus mainly on a very finesse and subtle presentation of the bait. But the universal line is about 0.14 and 0.66 in diameter, even if we're fishing for large fish in the water column. So here, I leave the line diameter up to you. At the end we try on the so-called fluorocarbon. I use diameters from 0.40 to 0.80 even. So the thinner the setup, I simply adjust the diameter of the fluorocarbon to the thickness of the line and the conditions in which we are fishing. That is, we are fishing in very heavily lined banks with stones, trees, bushes. That's why I say, Moon, you need to use slightly thicker setup. And when I'm fishing in open water, I go down even to 0.40, so that the water doesn't press on the fluorocarbon during drifting or when the fish approaches, causing the lure to move away from the transducer, drift away, and also produce sound. But maybe I won't talk about that, because the pressure of the water on the line creates such vibrations that maybe another time. Treble hooks from brands like Mikado, Owner, Quantum are standard, like the ones I showed for pins, which are classic regular 3-pronged hooks or treble hooks, pinned together with the pins, meaning we have 3 shanks arranged differently, and pins that we insert into the baits. Split rings, an essential element for creating a setup, jig head, and a set of small accessories. In a moment I will bring closer and show you what accessories I have with me in watch to assemble such a classic basic set. I will show only one rigging. In our upcoming episodes you will see how we rig individual baits, which I have already mentioned to you before, namely each bait has its own separate video, so I invite you to our channel. And now let's show the basic rigging and the materials we use. Let's see the simplest rigging, which is a regular round head lead with a screw in, 2 split rings, soon we have smaller and larger ones, and a single swivel. A clip with pins in size 2 valve. And our flagship model from the vertical series, Gobia. The first thing we do is insert pin from our head and screw it in. Our more head we try of course to do this straight, that there isn't so that everything fits nicely and holds together. Next, we take a split ring pliers or a tool for split rings. I of course use standard classic pliers. We take a screw in the ring into the swivel, then we already have the ring open, so we attach the snap to it. We take another swivel, we take another split ring and attach it from the other side. Swivel. Next, having this assembled set, we attach it depending on how the assembly significant guide, either from the bottom or from the top, into the eye of the head. And twist it Then we set it in the appropriate position evenly with our lure and insert it under the lesson. A lure equipped like this, where we have all the blades accessible, open, which means thank you, you have a greater chance of a successful catch. Also, thank you for watching this episode. I hope that this season I will be able to show you some actions on the water, how to do it, how to use the screens, that we will find time for it. And now stay alert, because we have a lot to show you.